blasting. Oh, hi.
As you do.
As we do.
So you've got my counter up there again, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I caught it this time. I've learned that I actually need to pay attention to when I'm in here. You tend to sneak us into the thing while I'm in the middle of describing the absolute horrors that my players do.
Oh, to be fair, you're normally I would say the adventures that you put your players on are highly entertaining. But that story was extremely frustrating.
It was stressful. I'll tell you the funny stuff. My Sunday group
Yep.
have decided that, listen, at the beginning of the campaign, we're not going to be good guys, Oscar. We're going to be morally dark. I was like, okay, I can deal with that. The introduction is that you're going to have to go past this mountain. You're not going to go over it. You're going to go under it. You're going to skate by the underdog and so on. The entire way, that group basically went, okay, any evil entity we encounter, we're going to be more evil than them to assert dominance. I was like, okay, I can deal with this. That's nice. They've now come up on the other side. They've made contact with the first evil settlement, who is like, oh, you can trade and do whatever you want here, but you have to pay 5% of anything that you buy and sell to the government. If you start a fight, you're not allowed to use area of effect spells, and you have to finish the fight within 4 turns, or the guard will show up and put down one side. We don't care which side. We're just going to put down one side. I was like, cool. Simple enough rules. All the players were like, yeah, we can make that work. They began sussing it out, and one of the players went, right, we're going to go north because we know that there is a group of people up there who relies and distributes drugs and subjugates people through the usage of drug trades. We're going to go up there, ban people up, and overthrow them, and then we will become the drug lords. And while they were traveling up there, they came across slavers. And the group, they celebrated. They're like, oh, goodies. We can turn the slavers into our slaves. And it was just beat their cannon fodder, subdue the actual slavers, and beat them into submission. Why? Because no, we are worse people than you, and we will find ways of making it worse for you. So they want to approach the whole thing of like, we will fight evil people by being more evil than them. And they go out of their way to break the Geneva Convention. They have literally gone through and read the Geneva Convention over and over. They're like, right, these are the things we must do now. We're missing these check marks. We must do this.
Have you seen that meme? Or that I found it on Facebook on a Warhammer 40k page, and it's a Iron Fists and a who are they? Oh shit!
I know there's a period where they actually discuss the document of the rules of war that they are meant to be allowed to do, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of outdated.
No, this one's a meme one.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's basically the Trader Legion version of the Iron Fists, anyway. Right. And this Iron Fist is like, brother, we believe you should read this, and it says the Geneva Convention, and he takes the book and comes back a week later and goes, thank you so much, brother. I have so many new ideas.
Yeah. Sounds like the Iron Warriors.
That's probably who it was, yes.
Yeah.
Because I know it was some Emperor's Children or World Eaters, but yeah. So, anyone else want to tell a quick story before we get into some topics or discussions or anything else?
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
All right.
I don't have any stories.
Oh dear. All right. Well,
what's the topics? Come on, Seraphis. Don't leave us hanging like that.
Excuse me. I had butter chicken. I'm full of Indian. What can I say? Except probably burp more. Anyway, okay, so Tori had 5? Two, yeah,
I
5.
don't remember.
I've got them all here on the side for my ticker, so I'm gonna, yeah. Topics that she posed to us last week, the week before,
Something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
It was like fodder for the Drek seagulls.
Yes. So
Dread Drek seagulls.
so I decided to put them up because they sounded like that'd be interesting. And look, me too. Stop playing with your little green man. Blind you will go. Okay, his big one eye's looking at us. Okay. Jeez. We are immature
Just ignore
children.
me.
Yeah. If only I could. So, the first topic we'll be talking about is: do you experience bouts of time where TTRPGs are the last thing you want to do? Sax, do you
Yeah.
want to go first?
So if there's periods where tabletops is the last thing I want to do,
Yeah.
yeah, they're a bit further apart. There are moments where I basically go, I really don't want to run a game tonight, or I don't feel like I've got any motivation or inspiration to run a game. Most of the time, I say, well, tough. You've got 4 or 5 other people showing up, and I always say, if you don't want or can't commit to something, let us know in advance. And usually these things for me happen on the day, and I'm like, oh well, I would be a hypocrite if I said, if I didn't at least do what I preached. So I just get on with it, and I find that once it gets rolling, I get into it. But there has been some time ago where I basically hit a period where I went, right, I need an unknown amount of time where I just don't do anything. I just need to like recenter myself. Turned out there was only 2 weeks I needed, but there are certainly times where I go, I don't have the motivation, I don't have the inspiration, and I can't even force myself to attend this because it feels less like a hobby and more like a job at certain points. It does work in the fact that I make use of virtual tabletops. So I need to make sure I've got maps. I need to make sure I've got, line of sight. I need to make sure I've got all of these things. And I have periods where I will say like, okay, Monday to Friday, once I've done with work, once I've done, spend time with my wife and she's off to bed, I will then sit for like an hour or 2 hours and I will do nothing but like doing prep work, doing maps, doing characters and all of that, just so that I am prepared for like that weekend. And sometimes that can be a lot, especially when I have games where the players can say, well, we are not going to engage, or we're just going to say, no, we're now leaving and going somewhere else. So it's got this like vicious spiral of I will prepare a lot, only to then have the players say, well, we don't want to go in this direction anymore. We're now going to go somewhere else. And it's only something that I'm having happen more recently. Though what I am experiencing is that my groups are insisting that they don't want to do traditional games. They don't want to do like, let's take D&D and play D&D as it is, rules as written, or let's take this other system, play it as is, rules as written. There's always some form of change, or there's always something different that they want to get out of it. My 5e group at the moment, we're trying to do basically Kingmaker or domain play, Adventure Conqueror King, using 5e. because they're bored of doing D&D. They want to try something different. They want to do something different.
Hmm.
So yeah. So there are times where I just feel that like the work requirements in order to get the fun is actually quite high. And there certainly are times where I think, right, do I want to put in that much time for it? Is it that much fun for me? I don't know. At the moment, I'm just too stubborn to actually say maybe I need a break.
Game Masters or Seraphis
Um,
too.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think everybody gets to that point. I mean, and I guess that's the best part of it is there's always something else to do.
Like, what are your other hobbies?
Making YouTube videos.
I don't have any other hobbies. I don't. My personality is about as far as you can see. Very shallow, not very interesting.
I mean, I've got another hobby, but pretty sure I'll lose my channel if I start talking about that.
Ranting and
Oh.
raving. Putting on your tinfoil hat, going outside, shouting towards the skies.
No, I
Seraphis
have a
wouldn't-
feeling it involves sitting in front of the computer.
I was briefly considering that, and I went, no, Seraphis has got some class. He wouldn't just lower himself to that.
No, I mean, I guess for me, I will watch movies, or TV show, binge whatever the TV show of the week is. Outside of that, I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, aside from playing D&D or a video game online or whatever, if I'm not watching a show or cleaning the kitchen or spending time with the family, I my life is pretty much consumed with making, honestly, videos.
Can see that. It's just interesting because, like I actually have it's not like a week here, a week there, but I'll have where like I just don't. I'm kind of done with TTRPGs. I mean, it's pretty much always been D&D until recently, but like I just like I'm good. I don't want to play anymore for a bit. I've had my fun. And
Yeah.
I'll go for long periods of time where I'm just playing video games or stitching or whatnot. And then I'll get like the hobby wheel will spin back around and I'll want to go back, and then all I want to do every day after work is play D&D. Like anytime I get into a thing, that's the only thing that I want to do. So like if I get really 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 into like I don't know Minecraft or Guild Wars, then that's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah, fair.
I will say that I definitely get into that space. Definitely as a player and a GM. However, I'm gonna say something now, and then you can all throw in your 2 cents of it. But what I find is that I get bored with how a lot of the RPGs, our gaming experiences, role-playing games, are typically set, which is the fantasy setting. And I find moving it over to, say, sci-fi or something like that, something that I'm more interested in, generally pulls me back in because it's actually something I want to be doing. I get bored with the monotony of it always being fantasy. So in that regard, what brings you back after you've kind of had that lull of not wanting to be doing it?
Well, and I think too, for me, there's the frustration of yeah, this is something I want to do. I have committed to doing it, but nobody else wants to right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's a degree of frustration there because, oh man, this is a great adventure. This is, this is so cool. And it's really going to wow the players. And for whatever reason, everybody ends up canceling because, sick kid or have to work an extra shift or, whatever. And yeah, I mean, so in an instance like that, it kind of deflates me a bit because, wow, I just put in all this work to get this produced, this adventure put together, and nobody wants to play with me. So I'll go play by myself.
Definitely.
And that's where I'll pick up a video game or turn on the TV or watch something.
Mm. Yeah, definitely periods where only I experienced that with a lot more than just D&D.
Oh yeah,
Anything.
yeah.
It's like, I want someone to come play this game with me, and nobody wants to play the game. And then like I'll do that for a week to 2 weeks, and then another game will pop in and catch my attention. And then someone will message like, "Oh, I just started this game," or, "Well, how about we could sit down and play this one game?" And in my head, I'm like, "Oh, that was last week. That's okay."
Yeah.
In fact, I've more than once done where I've kind of gotten into something else, but someone will be like, "Well, we can, like we played Reclamation yesterday," and so I was like, "Well, we could, sure, yeah, absolutely." We did end up having fun, but it was one of those where like that wasn't necessarily the mood I was in. But I've been wanting to play that with them for like so long that when they finally said, "Yeah, we'll play that," I like made myself want to play it.
Well, and it even here, I mean, it extends even past just the dice rolls or the board games. It used to be when Walking Dead was in its height. We'd have Walking Dead Sunday night dinner parties, and everybody, kind of potluck thing, but we'd have chili or whatever, and everybody would just come over and we'd hang out and watch it and bullshit during the commercial breaks and have fun. And then the show just started kind of going downhill, and everybody kind of stopped, and that kind of sucked. We picked it up again when Dexter came on, but then, when that show ended, again, everybody kind of scattered, and nobody ever reconvened when they came out with the spinoff shows, and it sucks. I mean, I think there's a degree of, I don't know, I'll call it nostalgia. When we were all younger, I mean, it was almost a religious activity. Like every Friday night, we gathered together, rain or shine. We didn't make plans for anything else. But that was also too when nobody was married, nobody had kids. That's
Mm.
all they did. We lived for Friday night, and yeah, I mean, we grew up, we got married, we had kids, we got jobs.
Yeah.
God, I hate being an adult.
I will say to Seraphus's point about the setting, I don't actually have that. So I don't get tired of fantasy. And changing the setting would not help me because it's not the setting or the story. It's the actual hobby.
It's the activity.
It's actually getting, being social and doing something that is not the one thing my brain is hyper fixated on. So once I get
Yeah.
hyper fixated on a particular game or movie or what activity, that's the only thing I'm focused on, and everything else is just like I'm walking around in a daze. Like I'm not really there. I don't really care because it's not this one thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, welcome to self-diagnosing yourself with ADHD.
Oh, I don't need to. I'm actually diagnosed with it.
I mean, that's it, plain and simple. And it sucks. It really sucks. I wish Brian was on here, so he could kind of give his perspective on that.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
I've
couldn't
been-
make it tonight. Oh, this morning, whatever it is.
Yeah, morning here. No, I was diagnosed when I was 7, and I was on, for a couple of years, I was on Ritalin because that's what was available at the time. And then they took me off of that, and then I haven't been on medication ever since.
And we
I'm
couldn't
not a
tell.
fan of medication,
I mean,
except for caffeine. I like caffeine.
Definitely self-medicating with caffeine quite frequently, but there's different degrees though, because one of my other players does have ADHD, and I mean medication can't compensate all the way. Like there's a degree of kind of mental training you have to go through
100%,
alongside
yeah.
they work in tandem, but she is in such a way where I could understand wanting to be on it. Like some people have it because it's a degree, it's a spectrum, it's not a binary thing. And some folks it's really bad with them, and for me it's just not as bad, so I can function without it. But anyways,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So, did you want the next topic then? Or Sax, did you have anything you wanted to additionally
I don't
add,
really.
or-
Let me know it. I mean, all I can do is really build on what's been said. I mean, I'm going to take, Yeo Geek or John from Yeo Geek's channel, because he often talks about, he's got his, ADHD, but it's also that he has a lot of procrastination that comes along with that. So he finds that it's, difficult for him to do that, and it's not until like literally the moment before he has the games that he suddenly goes like, "Oh yeah, I would really like to do that." Or again, because of his setup and his job, he finds himself often socially burned out, and he needs his own time periods to like become ready for things. Which that comes and goes in its own time.
Mhm.
And that is what it is. I don't really have a lot of personal experience beyond that. But then, for me, I just often end up going like, I'm just gonna push through. But that's me. It's not healthy what I do either. Like, let's just be super clear about that. It's not healthy because I have the same mentality that I've been using for my last job. That was not good.
I have the same mentality for my own personal health too. So,
Yeah, just push through and ignore it.
hmm
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's us to maybe be hyper specific here. It's also very much of a man thing. It's like the body still works. I can still get out of bed. It's fine. I was like, yeah, well, you've got joints
It's
that are
just when
cracked.
it's when that body stops working. That's when it's like, well, shit.
Maybe I
And
need to
then the
actually.
excuse is, I'm just getting old. That's how it's supposed to happen.
I know, like yeah, but that's delving maybe a bit too far away from that of the interest of tabletop games. My point is like,
Well, but I think it ties into it.
what the way getting old.
Well, yeah. I mean the feeling. I mean it's just the passion.
Mm.
I don't feel good. I don't want to exert that energy. I'd rather just sit here and do something that doesn't involve me having to get up and go somewhere.
Well, that's a good point because so some years ago I set down a very ambitious plan for what my current Sunday game, or that group specifically. And I said we're going to go from level 1 to level 20 because I've done it multiple times when I was a teenager and it was fun. It was in 3.5. I want them to have that experience. I was miserable by the time we got to level 16. Absolutely miserable. And I sat in my base after we'd finished the latest module. I said, listen, guys, we can continue pushing on to level 20, but I'm going to be burned out, and I don't know how I'm going to handle that. Or we call a pause here, because I need a pause. Because I don't see the interest in me running for you guys anymore. And I needed a year's break from that group because of how much I had pushed myself. It's just purely because, again, the group's fantastic. In hindsight, I just needed to learn to listen to myself to say, I've had enough.
Right.
And
It's time to take a break.
as the game master, my enjoyment of a game is very important.
Hmm.
Because I am thankful I have a group who will trust me to also say, listen, I want to now run this game. I've got a group of players that will say, right, well, we trust you, Oscar, to run the game however you see fit, and we'll find a way to have fun in that. That's
So,
a good thing.
so Tori, I have a question for you, kind of based on what Saxius just said. Do you find that you have a disinterest because you're typically the one that's running said game, and so that responsibility is kind of 90% on your shoulders?
Actually, let's see.
Because that's how it is for me. I mean, it's I would love to play, but nobody wants to step up and DM, at least in my circle. So I mean, for me, that's where it gets to be a little, I don't want to say overwhelming, because at this point it's kind of second nature, but I'd love to experience the play side.
See, and I don't have. I have almost zero interest in playing at all.
I gotcha.
For me, the hobby is the DMing. When Seraphis was talking about the changing the setting and getting him back into it, and then when he asked, well, what do you do that gets you back into it if you've fallen out for a bit? Because for me, it's never like 1 week. It's like three-ish weeks. Like
Yeah.
I want to go on like a break. I don't want to have anything to do with TTRPGs, like no social, no dice, no book, none of that. But what gets me back into it is not the setting and the play at the table. It's the printouts and the binders and the prep, and that's what I love. Only it's not prep like you and Saxius talk about how much work goes into it. And I'm like, whenever I prepare for one of my sessions, I stare off into space for 20 minutes at work, and I'm like, there's the session. I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes like no time at all.
Yeah,
So
I get it. That's what I'm saying. It's almost second nature at this point.
Yeah, your theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Or it's but usually it's the tactile things that get me back into it. It's the if I make a slide on this and then I cut this out and then I fold it out, I can make fear tokens and then I can set those on my screen, and it's just getting into the tactile part of it.
So this is a slight tangent, but connected. When Daggerheart came out, did you find that you had a renewed interest? Because that system, at least from what I understand, kind of plays into that tactile style. Like it's got the cards, it's got the tokens, it's got the binders that you can do and all that stuff.
Yeah. And in fact, if you were part of the last stream, you were already looking at that. But yeah, no, I did. It definitely renewed my interest, and I did these little printouts, these little tokens. I just literally printed them, folded them in half, and then I have little clear stands.
Yeah.
So that part of it, I made fear tokens, which I hang on my DM screen. But the rest of it is player side. That's the thing, actually. The hope tracking, the stress track. I mean, as a DM, I have to track stress a little bit too, but that's like any combat. You're just noting that on paper when you go. But the rest of the tokens are all player side. But I mean, I love it. My players love it. More to the point, they're excited about it. They want to come play. And when they get excited about it, and when they want to talk to me about their characters, outside of just game night, that also feeds into that, because it's really hard when you're super enthusiastic about something and everyone else comes to the table like, oh, we're here because we have to be, because we'll disappoint you if we don't. I mean, there's been a couple of times where Steve's like, yeah, I guess. And I'm like, dude, if you don't want to play, don't play. And he goes, well, I'll be disappointing you. And I'm like, yes, I want you to play in the group, but I want you to want to be there. I don't want a zombie who's just there out of obligation.
Otherwise, it's no fun for you. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's no fun. And so instead, last week, he played Battlefield 6 because of the open beta, because that's what he wanted to do. And one of his buddy was on. And then I was talking to the group, and I was really excited about the K-pop Demon Hunters, I'd try to get everybody to watch that movie. So
It's
we
a
did
good
a movie
movie.
night. Oh, it's such a good movie. So we did a movie night instead because where they left off was in a camp. And so I said, well, hey, if you guys want to, we can do a movie night. We'll leave off in camp. Because Steve said he wanted to play. He actually came up with a character concept. So, like, he actually was enthusiastic for once. But the open beta was only that weekend. So we said, okay, we'll do a movie night. He's going to do his thing. And then next week, his character can get introduced while they're in the camp. It'll make the most sense that way. So we kind of have a future plan going forward. But yeah, they're really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. They tried to buy the game, but they can't because it's sold out everywhere. And Bardic Aggravation was nice enough to send me their copy, which should arrive tomorrow, actually. So they actually sent me their copy of the book and all of that because I don't even have the book. I just have a PDF and I just printed these. The cards are available for free. I printed them and laminated them.
Yeah.
So
Nerd.
these actually are their cards. So they both took the same community, so they share that one. And then I think she's a wizard. So she has these three, and she's the Katari, which is basically the cat person. So that's her character. So those are her cards. And then he's playing a ranger because he always plays a ranger. He loves rangers. And he's playing a Galapa. So those are his cards. Sorry, I could talk about Daggerheart all day. I'm really enthusiastic about it.
And speaking
good.
of which, let's go to Tori's second topic, huh?
Sounds good.
What do you consider player responsibility?
Bringing
Yeah.
snacks.
Made a video about that
Hmm.
after posting that topic.
Yes, I noticed.
Hey, it did really well. That's one of my better performing videos, actually. So apparently it struck a chord with people.
Providing pizza.
Yeah. I mean, it depends, like, real life versus online games.
Supplying their own dice. Knowing which die is which.
Oh, that's a
Now-
basic.
Yeah, I was just saying
Yeah, but-
that.
You say that, Seraphis, but there are players who,
Mhm.
after years of playing, still show up and do not know which die they need to roll.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about not knowing like a 6-sided from an 8-sided.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
which one to roll. I'm saying they physically are not capable of picking it up and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6-sided die.
Or even just learning that D6 means the square one.
Yeah. Yeah.
D20 means the one that's most round.
I can
E8
ex-
means the pointy one.
is the one that's most round.
Well, most of us don't have that.
I can excuse people who like pull out, what looks like their D10 and they've pulled out their percentile. I get that. We
Oh,
all,
yeah,
we
that's
probably all
okay.
make that. But like a D8 and a D12, or just anything else that isn't the D20. Come on. You should know this basic stuff by now. Or just the D20 in general. How do you not know which one is the D20?
I would say that definitely along the lines of not just which, like the next step after that is that, okay, I want to hit something. Okay. What do you do when you want to hit something? Oh, do I roll? Yes, you roll. Okay. All right, I got 13. Okay, now what do you add to that roll? Oh, that's right, I add stuff. Like, and if you're a brand new player, maybe, but after about like 3 to 5 sessions, I shouldn't be reminding you that you need to roll when you want to hit stuff. You know
If
what I
you've
mean?
been playing for
I-
2 years, yeah, you should.
Yes, and you're spot on, right, Seraphis. That's all my sustenance in life. But you're right. But like, it's also the whole thing of like, if you've then got the character sheet printed out and you do the whole roll, it's like, okay, well, what do I add? And it's like, well, you look on your character sheet, and then they look on their character sheet, and they're just, well, where?
Mhm.
I am not making this up. I have had players who will go like, where do I do this? Like, this is the combat section. Which weapon are you using? And they'll look, and because they've got 3 different weapons, they go, I don't know.
Do I use
And
all
I-
3?
Yeah, well, like, do I get to pick which one? I'm like, well, which weapon did you attack them with? Which one does the most damage? And it's like that level of like unpreparedness makes me sit and go like, right. I mean, in this instance, I've decided that I am not winning this with this one specific player that I've got. So I've gone, here's your weapon. There is one weapon that he has. It is literally highlighted. It's on his character sheet highlighted for where he needs to look at. Because that helps him like so I'll go like combat. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then he rolls, adds that in and then does it. Like you have to take even 5e and you have to simplify that down.
Mm-hmm. And if you, another thing with that is that like, I don't like default character sheets either. I mean, I'm used to them by now. I learned how to read them, but they're visual cluttered nightmares half the time. And so it's like, okay, if you struggle with the clutter, then take the next step. It's like the active versus the passive. Like I don't like it when players are just completely and utterly passive. They don't really engage, they don't really try, they don't really like sorry, that was that's the cats
hear
playing
that?
with the doorstop.
That was the signal like they don't engage. Doing.
The cats are wanting to engage.
Very much so.
Engage.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that made me tear up a little bit. That was so funny. But yeah, I don't. It's like, okay, if you're struggling with something, ask for help. If repeatedly, time and time again, you're looking at your character sheet and going deer in the headlights, then okay, let's do something about that. You know what I mean? Let's get a note card. Let's write down just in big Sharpie font what you need to know right now for combat. Like let's make life easier on ourselves. Like instead of just bashing our head against the wall over and over and over again, let's be smart about this.
Counterpoint, players aren't smart. They're like children. They constantly need their hand held.
But
Well,
you guys are smart when you play, presumably.
There's a reason why I don't play. I go into an absolute psychotic rage when I play. No, that's a joke.
I wouldn't know how. I don't know what I would be like when I play. I mean, I honestly have not sat down to play a game of D&D or any role-playing game as a player in...
I mean, if you want to play Daggerheart, I'll run for you. But I don't live near you, so it would have to be online. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not driving all the way across the country.
No.
So, the responsibility for a player is, for me, we're going to have some different views on this. I know, for you, Brian, I assume most of your games are in real life.
Mine are now, yeah. But for a while, most of them were online.
Right. I'll take Brian's silence as a yes. But when it comes to responsibilities, at least for the games I'm running online, my requirements are, well, very simple. You need to know the character sheet that you've made online so that you can make use of them. And that's going to take some time because Roll20 only provides you with so many variations. All right. Take care.
So, I mean, I will say that, I don't know. I think that there's a really good point that she's...
Great. Anyway, I'll proceed on. Basically, the responsibilities for the players when it comes to the online games is you got to get accustomed to your character sheet. If you are not interested in knowing the rules, do not play anything remotely close to a spellcaster. Because I will flip an absolute casket when you, as the spellcaster, are sitting and inquiring to me what your spell does. That's where I'm going to be putting down my DM's sheet and go, you can read, you are literate, you have gone through school. If this is a failure, then that is a you problem and you need to change your class. I am not interested in doing that. If it's clarifications, that's different. Because now we need to clarify how something is interpreted. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of funny because that's part of the reason why I went with playing the artificer in this group, right?
Mhm.
And then quickly discovered that I now know more about the crafting system than the DM and the other player, the wizard, who had crafting feats. Yeah.
So
But
there
I
are going to
mean,
be certain things like where a certain player is going to learn something a lot better than the DM because I have got so many other things I need to juggle with, and albeit, go on, Tori.
yeah, no, exactly what you were saying. I was going to that exact same spot of like, honestly, if you're cat,
Right. Well, we'll proceed. If you went up knowing something better, the DM's going to turn around and say, "Okay, how does this work? Let's bang this back and forth, and then we find a way for this to be done." Hello, welcome back.
sorry, I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, we accept the apologies.
Anyways, were you talking or was I? Do I need to finish?
No, I was just trying to fill the air.
But basically, I think where you were going or where you started to go, which is that if you might know something better. Like if you're playing a spellcaster and you know Fireball better than the DM, that I'm okay with that because, and I do try to pick my players. You know, I don't run with strangers, so I know these people. I trust them. But yeah, I'm running the monsters. I'm running the world. I'm running other things. I need you to know your spells. I need you to know your features, right? Because marshals have features too.
Hmm.
Yep.
But yeah.
Especially back in 3rd edition, do they have feats?
Oh God, yeah.
Well, they do in modern systems too. They're just assigned via class instead of picked from a giant list. But
It does
when
not
you- when
have
you
the
bu-
meat. Does not have the girth and the abilities and strength of what 3.5 and Pathfinder brought in. That was some of the
Yeah.
enjoyable part of those systems. But I will say, before you say anything, Seraphis, it was absolutely hilarious when I played 5th edition, me being a fighter and a battlemaster, and another player being a fighter and a battlemaster, and both of us having the long pole or the polearm mastery, and we would just run into the hordes and trip people up. And they were just like, they can't get past us because we will trip them, and then every time they stand up, that's an attack of opportunity. And we would just create this like zone of death.
I was going to say, oh, no, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, back with the marshals and the feats, though, like with 3rd edition, we've got 2 fighters in our group, right?
Mhm.
However, one is built to be a tank, and the other one is built for pure DPS. So, you know, that was something that you could do with your fighters. You could have 2 fighters who are more or less, you know, the same class and everything, but those feats completely change
Mm-hmm.
how they interact in the battle. So, yeah. What were you going to say, Tori?
Oh, I actually lost my train of thought. I was saying I don't want to turn it into any kind of this edition versus that edition. It's not really about that. But
I was just hyper focusing on like, oh, this is definitely something that is done before. But that's again, that's just preferences. It is, as we are all agreeing, it's a responsibility for the players to understand their class. It's also their responsibility to find the niche for them to have fun with. I have had to tell some players, and again, this is only something that's happened recent, where I've had to tell players, it's not my responsibility to ensure that you have fun, because you need to engage with the world. I will do my best to accommodate for the various classes, but if a player decides that I want to be an audience player, cool. I will only give you about as much as you put into the game. So that's why, and again, I know this has been said on Bear the Gen X's streams, where the players who engage the most are the ones that he then focuses on. I'm very much the same. If you jump in, you do things, great. I will, do things back. I will try to then go like, okay, you've had your spotlight. I'm not going to turn over here to you, Seraphis. You've been rather quiet in a moment, and that's worrying. what atomic bombs have you been making in that little corner? And then we open the tent and we can only see the rooms that you've been putting all over the place. Like, it's working. I have generated a magical crystal meth. I shall power things. What's the intent of this? I shall feed it to gigantic hamsters. I shall be put inside of wheels, and we shall have hovercrafts. I was like, okay, that's nice. But I give a little bit of space for those players to have their moments to shine.
See, something I was considering maybe by next year, once, this campaign actually, next session, we're fighting the big bad.
Mhm.
So thank fucking God. We're so close. We're so close to some fucking downtime. But once we've had some more downtime, I've got something in the works.
Mhm.
And it's not going to become apparent what it is until after I've got a couple of them. And basically, I'm intending to make a couple of doomsday devices purely so I can do that meme from Professor Farnsworth from Futurama.
I was
where-
just gonna say you gotta pop into the room and say good news, everyone. If you don't, I'll be disappointed. Once you've made it.
I guess I can spare one of them and still be considered dangerous.
Good news, everybody. I have the solution to our problems, and it's also the solutions to all problems going forward. What have you made? I have made the future. It's like you absolute madman. No.
Sorry. I was just gonna respond to Game Masters real quick and just say, like, yes, reach out to me because I have one other person and that makes 2. So I can do at least 2. All right. Anyways.
But so back again, responsibilities of the players. You got to know what you're doing. You got to be willing to cooperate with the other players. You got to be willing to put yourself out there or have ideas. If you're not interested in doing like, oh, we're gonna have subplots and all of these other things, that's fine. Just be transparent. Maybe even understand what it is that you do want and what it is that you don't want. Now the game and communicate that to the DM. This is not an easy thing. I do want to stress that. Self-reflection is something that most people struggle with. Having the ability to sit down and say, right, what do I actually want out of a game is not something that's going to come to people easily. And I think the other time I was on here, Tori, you were mentioning a couple of things where it's like, oh, but we do this, this, and this. And I went, yes, because for some people it takes years to get to a certain point where they actually understand what they want out of a game or why they play it. And once that clicks, you can actually start saying, like, this is how I am as a player. This is what optimizes fun for me.
You won't get to that point though unless you play, I think, though.
No, you won't, but
yeah.
Go on.
I would say you need to experience it. You need to, I think that in order to reach that point, you have to, like, say you prefer combat heavy games. I think in order to discover that, you have to play in combat heavy games and then you have to play in role play heavy sessions. And then you have to kind of figure out, like, well, I like this and I don't like this. So, it's a whittling effect.
It absolutely is, and it also requires the player to be willing to say, like, okay, did I have fun with this? No, I didn't, and that's okay. That's a me thing. And it's all right for me to step away and then go and do something else, or realize I had so much fun doing this, like deep role playing. Again, I'm going to use Vampires the Masquerades. A lot of like intricacies, politicking, and all that. That's a lot of fun. I like that. I found that I really like games where there is a form of economics involved, or wider worlds that can be built upon. I'm finding that I don't want to do standard D&D. Let's go into the dungeons. Let's go and defeat the big villain. No, I want players to come in, rise up, and then become forces of nature. I want them to start steamrolling things. I want them to start taking on bigger projects. I want to play more domain play effectively. And that's what I know that I want, and I found a group that likes it, so that's good. But it's also bring it back to the player responsibility. It's their responsibility to give it a go. It's their responsibility to see if they can get along with everyone. You won't. There's going to be times where there's going to be groups where it's like you're not going to get along with everyone, and it's just a question of like, can you tolerate them enough that you can just sit and play, or is it a case that like you can't tolerate them enough to sit and play? That's again, it requires the self-awareness. Now, it's not a responsibility, but it's very nice when the player turns around to a DM and say, "What can I do to make it easier for you?"
Yeah. That
I
is-
have a player where when we played D&D, I said, "Listen, can I leave you to oversee these things?" And he went, "Absolutely." He would sit and he would count every spell in every session that was cast. Every single one of them, because I would give out XP out depending on the amount of spells that was cast to reflect that the more a wizard practices his spells, the more attuned he becomes to these abilities, the more a cleric preaches out and uses their powers to push forward their pantheon, the more powers, the more XP they get back from that. But that requires the players to sit down and actually count all the spells they do. And I found that the majority of the players just did not take in that they were actually being rewarded for using spells. So having one player literally sit and go, "I've kept track of it," that meant that the entire group benefited from that.
And in most groups, I feel like there might be one or two players that are a little bit more of that vein than others. Like some groups are going to have players, or some individuals are going to be a little bit more passive than others. Like some people might not, they're good enough to know their character and know their feature and know their sheet, but they're not going to go to that level of tracking every spell necessarily. And that's fine if you have, like, in a group as a whole. I think if you have a player or two who's a little bit, overachiever, A+ student or whatever, but at the very least, you got to know your sheet, and you got to, like, I mean, why are you even there? If you're going to show up, if you're not going to know what dice to even roll. I mean, this is a game all about rolling dice, and you don't know what a D6 from a D8 from a D20. Why are you even there? Why even continue to show up at all?
I will say, just before we move on to the next topic, that I find it funny, Sax, that you mentioned that, because one of the things I think a lot of the later editions after first edition AD&D were missing was that progression in essentially your school of your class.
Yeah.
Like going up from like a squire to a knight, like in the fighter, that progression. I feel like there's like something missing in nowadays, because it's just a number and people don't really care. Oh, I've made it to level 2. Cool. It's not, oh, I went from a squire and now I am a knight, or now I'm a there's something actually before a knight. What is it? Or like with a noble, you're a baron, before you get to the like marquis and the dukes and stuff. And it's like, I don't feel like, I feel like titles would help more than numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first edition did that, but you can also tell that the creators ran out of ideas when they got to certain classes. That's
Yes.
neither here nor there. What is, I mean, and that dropped out the moment we go into second edition.
Yeah.
But what they kept was that each different class then has the things that they are then good at, and then the players are meant to then play into that. Like wizards, spells, go for that. Priest, face, all of that. Warriors, combat, being able to like overcome things. Now, I'll definitely say that we need to add more things in for the warriors, but that's beside the point. And then, of course, we've got the thieves with their abilities, and all of that which comes along.
Yep.
The responsibilities for the players to again know what they're good at or what the class is good at. If there is a class, if there isn't a class, if it's more of a fluid system, cool. But find your contribution to the group, because these games are cooperative. We're not running death matches here of player versus player. I mean, we could, not the fucking point, but we could. We have the technology, we have the means, but you're here to work together. So ideally, you should be finding ways for you to working together for that. So yeah.
So yes, Want the next topic?
Yeah, let's go for that.
Yep.
I don't remember what it was, so this will be interesting.
The Venn diagram of pure game rules and role play, and where do you sit, and where you've seen other groups land.
That's right. I forgot about that one.
Mhm.
Basically, one thing that was pointed out to me, actually, this was a conversation that happened in the Discord a little while after, but I think it illustrates it better, is somebody pointed out that Daggerheart just has physical and magical damage, and they miss damage types, like explicit damage types. And I said that the kicker is with games like Daggerheart, and honestly some groups in general, because we did this with 5e2, the customization is at the table, not in the book. So if I want to have fire damage, I just say that it's fire damage, it's fire magical damage, or it's fire physical damage. I don't need the book to tell me there's fire damage. As a DM, I just decide that at the table. So the customization happens within the DM, within the group at the table. Then there are other systems or other groups where that customization is in the book. Another example, Ancestries. Wheeler mentioned that he didn't like Ancestries from Daggerheart because it's just one card with that feature and that's it. All the elves are the same, quote unquote. But at my table, not two elves can be totally different from each other. Not because their cards are different, but because those players made the characters different and the character is different. And the customization manifests in how they use that feature, when they use that feature, and how they interpret that feature to look at the table. So I can do that at my table, but I'm learning that not everyone plays that way. And so the Venn diagram question was just, have you seen this? Where do you land? And what are your thoughts on the idea of customization being a set of ancestry features that we pick from like a menu versus a card, but it's how we interpret that card where the customization lies.
Yes.
Right. I'm trying to think of like... No, it is an interesting one. It absolutely is. I'm just trying to go over like how do I actually describe myself, because I'm led by the game mechanics first and foremost, but that's because I come from the philosophy of the mechanics are here to put everything on a level. Like, I am bound by them, the players are bound by them. We play this game because these rules unify the game. We all know what the rules are, we can all read them. There's going to be the occasional moment of interpretation because, hey, surprise, English is not my first language. And for a number of other people that comes in, even those who are speaking the language natively, there's still going to be interpretational differences depending on where you put a comma or what words you use.
Or even culturally.
Even culturally, that's very correct. And then the role play. I'm not a good role player. I'll put it very plain and simply. I often do overarching, like, here's what's happening, and then if someone goes, I really want to interact with these characters, like, okay, cool, I'm going to try and get into character now and portray them. But I always have a blind side, which is that I have a hard time playing non-logical people. It's difficult for me to portray someone that's like driven by emotions, because I'm not. Well, I probably am, but like not in the way that I perceive it to be done. So I find myself very much of like the majority of my methods are run by mechanics, which are then used to represent roleplay. So it's almost like the mechanics comes first, and then I use the roleplay of explaining why things are happening. And that's been a shock because I've been in another group where it's almost the reverse. The roleplay is meant to be supported by the mechanics, where the DM the DM is very open about it. He runs the games like it's a movie. He has a plot line. You're playing the actors and the characters, and then you're there like getting from point A to point B to point C. He doesn't hide that it's railroaded. That's fine, but it's how you get there and the events that unfolds that makes it interesting for him. That's very different for me. because that means I have to get into character. I have to find my silly voices, and I have to then go like, what's the reason for why I'm doing all of this? It's a very different mindset because I often come in and go like, here's the mechanical buildup of all of these things, and I'm like, oh, this means nothing to these people. Cool. Here's a voice and the reason why I think that this person should be king. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oops. Excuse me. Interesting.
I think I'm more in the rules are there to help guide the role playing, but they shouldn't define the role playing. Like, especially since changing over to using Cypher as my main system, I find that I like the fact that I can just shove the mechanics out of the way and let people role play without having to be like, hey, roll for this, hey, roll for that. Like, give me good role playing and we'll play off of that straight, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas I find, especially that cursed thing that now contaminates our world everywhere, D&D, I find that in that you're expected to have a conversation and then roll to see if you're successful. And I get that in some senses, but in other senses, it's like you keep stuffing the mechanics in the way of the role playing, and it's meant to be a role playing game.
See, and I would make the argument in the case of D&D specifically that it's could be one or the other or both. I have had many, many, many times, particularly in social encounters, where, in fact, I even talked about this in a stream once. In social encounters, my players don't roll because they don't need to, because the stuff they come up with when they're role playing is the social encounter. It would be really dumb to have them put together this well-crafted manipulative argument to talk the noble into XYZ thing and then have them roll a 1. That would be silly. So I just don't call
Yeah,
for
I
a
wonder
roll.
what that's
As the DM, you make that call though. I don't think that's inherent in the system. I think it's available for DMs who don't know how to do that, for new DMs, for DMs that are like, I don't know what to do here. But for DMs like me, I can just say, oh yeah, that works. You convince him, or it doesn't. If it's, you can
Actually,
make that decision.
You'd be surprised. There's more than enough older GMs who believe that everything still requires a roll. My current table that I'm playing at is more than abundantly evident of that.
So if that's the way that DM is, would it not be reasonable to assume that DM would be like that regardless of what system they were playing? Like if that DM is like that, then that means that that's how the DM DMs.
No, that's how he DMs for D&D, because that's traditionally how you've DM'd for D&D. Well, for him. So that's how he plays D&D. Play Call of Cthulhu, completely different.
Doesn't Call of Cthulhu require rolls and social encounters?
They do, but the setups that come from the books actually states that the keeper should not require a roll until the player has explained what it is they want to do. And if the player describes meticulously how they achieve something, the player can circumvent a roll.
Yeah.
So if he came across the system that was not D&D, but did have social encounter roles and it wasn't explicitly stated the way it was in Call of Cthulhu, but it was not D&D, he would still have you roll. She, they.
He would have us roll how that system has taught him to do it.
Okay, so he just does it straight from the book, basically.
Yes.
So
And I was about to get into that because like I feel like this Venn diagram also plays into not just game rules and role playing, but also how we play with rules as rules as written, rules as interpreted.
Yeah, because that's when things gets funny. Because let's take rules as written. 5th edition, grease spell is not flammable. I'm just using that as an example. However, my Sunday group, once this was brought up, because the one player was like, no, rules is written, this is not flammable. I had 6 other players sit there and go, that's absolute bullshit. There's 4 editions before this where we could set fire to it. Oscar, please, we cannot not have our moments of chemical, baptizing people and setting them on fire. Like, what is this? I'm like, no, we've got to stick to what's in here. And they're like, no, this is an outrage. This is absurd. How can I be at the council and not be a master? How can this be grease and not be flammable? Like, it's just, they wouldn't have it.
and see that's interesting. Like genuinely, like that's really interesting to hear about because see, like me, I would just let them set it on fire because it makes sense, and that's what I would do. The book. It's what does Barbosa say? They're more like guidelines, anyways.
The code is more of a guideline.
Yeah, like like that's how I see it. So it's really fascinating to try and wrap my head around people who can't pull themselves out of the books and
so
like
in this case, like I'm more than happy to do it, but I basically sat there and went, listen, this is what we're written by, what is written as. And my argument was, you've got more than enough other things that you can set on fire. The fault of the wizards not having this available, you can use web and a bunch of other things. He's just prepared this for this specific event. So I pointed it down to like the arsenal was there for the player to achieve what he wanted to do, just not with that specific spell.
Interesting. Question.
Go on.
Is it possible that part of the reason why DMs do that, the whole like, well, it's not as written, so that we won't do it. Is it because they don't want to potentially open a can of worms? Because once you start stepping away from that, like, oh yeah, it's grease, it makes sense. Yeah, you can set it on fire. I'll allow that. As soon as you do that, then you potentially have 4 other people like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And then you have to process all that as a DM. And maybe some DMs don't want to do that.
Then they shouldn't be DMs.
So it's the whole case of like the way I see it is like every time you step away from the rules as written, that is a isolated precedent for just that thing for that campaign. That doesn't necessarily mean that it carries over. So previously, I would be more than happy to just say, fuck it, yeah, it's grease, it's set on fire, I don't care. In this one, because I don't want to overstrain it, and I've got rules more or less laid out for me, and I've been clear to my players that we're running this more like bear and pretzel game with you guys just going out and doing horrendous things. Let's go and have fun with that. It's putting less strain on me, not having to then go and have a whole bunch of other things. But yeah. But it's just that, I mean, otherwise, like once I've got, what's it called? Let's say if I were to redo my game, I would probably, what's it called, turn around and say, listen, we're going to play it the way that you guys know that I normally play it, which is anything you can argue that makes sense can pass. If you can make a convincing argument to me why, we will house rule it and move on. But I have the whole thing of like, it's almost a responsibility of the player to put forward the case for why something should be permitted. And then I will sit and make a decision and state whether or not I think it will fly.
Well, if you want to go on to the next topic, I have a feeling that this one is directly inspired by Tori potentially sleep-deprived pondering on Daggerheart. So So where does homebrew end and my custom system begin? If you take pieces of other systems, is it really your system? Is it the mix that's unique or the pieces?
I think that was actually inspired. Somebody reached out. So it started with noticing that a bunch of comments in my videos are like, oh, I'm building my own system. Oh, I'm building my own system. Oh, XYZ, I'm building my own system. Well, in my customs, I've actually been building this system for a while. In fact, my uncle did this to me way, 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 way back when. Before I even started playing 3.5, they were all excited, like, oh, well, your uncle's building his own system. And then it's here more recently, somebody private messaged me in Discord and was like, hey, I really like what you did with your combo video and I'm building my own system. And it was just the cherry on top that made the avalanche start of like me going like, why there's literally hundreds of published systems out there. What is the deal with everybody quote unquote building their own? And then it got me thinking, well, how do you qualify that? Because DC-20 is quote unquote a new system, but almost everything in it has been done somewhere else. Daggerheart's a quote unquote new system, but everything in it's been done by something else. And then, well, if you take it down to that logic, what makes Daggerheart versus just an amalgamation of all these other things? Well, if you continue down that rabbit hole, then 50 of the aforementioned 100 TTRPGs that have been published are all just another TTRPG. None of them are unique anymore. So where does it end? I guess.
I mean, we could point out like what nearly 100 games that came out between 2003 and 2010 that are all just the D20 system.
Yeah.
Just customizations, changes, adding a new mechanic or something in that changes up the flavor, what have you. Yeah.
I think it really ends when, because when you are doing homebrew, you're taking something that is like, okay, let's take Greece, and let's say like, it's my homebrew rule of something that's existing that this will always be the interpretations that will be applied. It is when you have, I see it as like you have existing rules that you do adjustments, build-ons, or like within that, like you've got like basically a margin where you are working around or reinterpreting what the text is saying. That's the homebrew, or that's your homebrew interpretations of things. Once it's going into like, oh, it's now my own system, that's when you start saying things like, I'm going to take these other aspects or these other ideas or this general outcome that I want, and I'm going to start implementing that in. That's now a system you're creating. An example is, and I'm going to use D&D because that's the best example I have. 3.5 and previous games would have it where if you played a certain class, you had a primary attribute or primary stat that if you had 16 or above, you got more XP because you were very good at your class. So you should be earning more from that. There are other systems that's come out and said, this is not a bad idea, but it severely penalizes players who doesn't roll well. So here are some other ideas that we can do. So they'll be like, hey, if you have got a stat of, let's say, intelligence that's 13, you get 5% more XP. Because you're intelligent, you pick up on things, you're learning things. If you've got a high wisdom, you're perceptive, you're understanding of the environment around you, so on and so on and so on. It basically broadened out and said it broadened out the stats you could use and said we're also going to lower it down, and then you can have a combination of all of these that then builds up so that your character learns quicker because they are intelligent, they're perceptive, they are strong, they're quick, they're charismatic, they've got strong willpower. These are homebrewed rules that's then been built up and has now become homebrew or custom rule sets that are now being used and sold to others to help enhance their games. And it's gotten to the point of where it's like, well, it's almost like a set of rules that you've interpreted and created and tested yourself that you're now saying, well, this is now my custom rule set. I hope my ramblings made some sense in that sense.
Do you think that? So have you guys seen the same thing that I described, where a bunch of
Yes.
people in comment are always talking about it?
Yes.
Do you think that even a
And
quarter
YouTube
of those are
channels.
going to actually be systems?
No,
Or
So
successful? No.
So
I
why?
think
What prompts that? Like, why not just say, oh, because okay, here, So
Because
like,
people are inspired by people who are successful. So Critical Role went and did Daggerheart. It was successful. People are now seeing like Bob World Builder and what's his name? Taran. Is it Indestructible?
I
think
don't know,
that's his
because
name.
Bob didn't do he did a book, but it wasn't custom system. It was just an auxiliary book.
Oh, whatever. People are seeing these streamers, these YouTube influencers, these D&D influencers doing their own thing and being inspired to think, hey, I can do that too. And I'm being generous, about 98% of them can't.
And is that a bad thing?
In what way?
Like, what comes to mind when you say that is, and who cares if they didn't? At least they tried. At least they did something. It is like, is it so bad that they want to try?
And that's fine. But I'm talking about the people who are going to invest, let's say, unhealthy levels of time, determination to try and do this because they think that they can. And then, sacrifice families or what have you.
so. I might not be as pessimistic. I'm just of the sense of like everyone says, "Oh, I'm building my own system," but they're gonna make their own interpretations for their own games. That's going to stay that way, which is fine. That's their games. That's their business. Whether they then want to, bring it up because they're proud of their work, I can understand that.
Oh,
Being
yeah.
like, I've spent a lot of work, making this. I'd like to call this my own system. I've put work into this. I've tested this out. People have suffered underneath these game tests, and I'm proud of the tears I've collected. That's a completely understandable thing. I'd be championing the same thing. I don't have the interest in going in that direction. I don't want to make my own system, not because I don't. Basically, like I've got no interest in making anything, and I have this compulsion that almost every time I make a game, I make my own custom world. The moment that game is over, I throw it all out the window and it's disappeared. I don't come back to it. I don't build worlds. Like it's always something new every time I start a new campaign.
And I think on
Like,
that, like potentially what's a bug crawling up my ass about this, if you excuse the phrase, is that I feel like people keep trying to push what they're doing in their homebrew as being a custom system when it's really just their homebrew, and they should really just be excited about what you do. If it works for you, it might inspire other people. Don't then try to start a Kickstarter. Stop with the fucking Kickstarters.
but I mean, on the other hand, them starting a Kickstarter doesn't affect you in any way. You just don't buy it. So if you don't spend money on the Kickstarter, then it didn't really negatively affect you. It allowed them to try and be excited. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I've got to be with Tori on that. Like, but then I'm off the mindset of people can say and do what they want as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. I'm not obligated to care.
Which has actually given me a new mindset on it, because when I first typed that question, I was also feeling a degree of like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm tired of hearing about your custom systems. It's just fancy homebrew. But now that I'm sitting here talking about it, now I'm revisiting that mentality and I'm thinking to myself, honestly, why be so negative about it? Like, It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't affect my game. In fact,
No.
who knows? Maybe they come up with something that inspires me to do a little something extra in my game, or they inspire someone else in the comment section. Who knows? But like, certainly no ill is coming from it.
And again, I'll point out, I'm not saying that they can't create their own home systems. I'm pretty sure we all create our own homebrew when we run a game. In fact, I know all three of us do our own homebrew.
Yeah.
The difference is that, like, I feel like people need to learn the difference between it. I feel like this is becoming semantics, where
Okay.
D&D, like, people are starting to use D&D for all RPGs, not just D&D. I think this is what is really bugging me about it, where we're seeing less of this is my homebrew and this is my custom system. It's like, it's your homebrew. We've been doing this for decades. It's not new, but cool. If that works for you, that's great.
All right. Yep.
I'm just getting sick of my Kickstarter and backer kit emails being full of, oh, look at these 10,000 new RPGs that people are kickstarting. Yay, I need this shit in my life.
I mean, I just
me-
unsubscribe from emails I don't want to read.
Yeah, but then I keep being subscribed back to their freaking email news every time I back a new fucking thing. Well, another MCG product, so which is annoying.
Weird. I unknown, because I don't have that.
Well, see,
Right.
for me, the problem is that it's easier or it's cheaper to back their backer kits than it is to wait till they come out and then order them.
Yeah.
Because
The shipping.
fucking
Yeah,
shipping.
No, I get that. I definitely get that. That's its
I
own
guess
kettle of fish.
It's probably because I don't buy a lot of products. Like, I just don't buy. I don't buy setting books. I don't buy campaign books. I don't buy other RPGs really. But maybe
I've
that's
just been
because
burned by people not being able to actually provide what they promise.
I've
just-
only.
Go on.
Well, it's interesting to me because it's like, if it's such a problem, then because I've only ever backed one Kickstarter ever, period. Like, I don't buy those products? Question mark. I don't know. It's just it's interesting that you guys mentioned, like, because you're backing a bunch in order to have the problem of having products that don't get finished. That means you're backing the product in the first place, right?
Yeah, but so we're going to go down the rabbit hole of Kickstarters, back kits, what have you, where people will come out and go like, I have an idea. Okay, they put it out there to do a really good pitch. They get a crowd going, and then everything's done and dusted. It's like, great, I'm now going to take the money. I'm going to get on with it. Not all people have finished the product by the time they do the backer kit or the Kickstarter. They are maybe halfway done, and then they go through and they finish that. Then they realize that art takes up a huge amount of money that they didn't account for. Then they go out and they source out, who they're gonna get to, print out the physical copies, and they realized, oh yeah, this is a lot more than what I expected. Because of the way things were already set up, they can't get more money from the people, which means that like they're going to get, the line of profit is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they're in the red. And now they're having to pay for their own project. And that's usually once they hit that point, that's where they go, right, this is dead. I can't do this. All the money is gone. I've had this at least happen once where someone mismanaged their money so badly, it was just gone. The others turn around and say, well, here's the PDF, guys. This is the best it could be. I can't do anything else. Others will ghost, take the money, and disappear. And I've had some where I just stop hearing from them, and then out of nowhere I get a product, and I realize, wait, this was still going. You gave us no updates, no information, no nothing. You just disappeared. Now I've got the thing. I'm not happy about it. I mean, yeah, I got it, but I also got the experience of believing you took my money and ran away. since there's been no communication between you, the creator, and the people who backed you.
Is that the fault of the person doing the Kickstarter, or is that the fault of the people who keep spending money on Kickstarter, knowing that
Well,
that could be a possibility?
No, so it depends on what aspect you want to focus on. It's my fault for taking the risk of giving money to someone who is not a business person. That's my fault. I still think I have the ability, or I'm allowed to be angry about it, but it's why I don't back people that I don't see have a history of having successful.
Of having successful, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
But then that creates a problem, because if you want to have people to back you and you have got no previous history of having a successful thing, well, how are you going to get off the ground? Well, now you need people
Then,
that are willing to take a risk, but there's so many horror stories. It's
but that's just kind of a marketplace in general, right? Like if you're going to come out with a product, you got to sell people on that product, or they're not going to give you money. That's just part of producing a product.
but I also think some people are over ambitious in what they want to achieve, or they actually haven't done the market research. Now, again, it really depends on how we want to go about it, because we can take an individual point and say, at this point, this is these people's responsibilities. At this point, everyone's at fault. At this point, it's clearly the people who gave the money's fault. But there's a lot of work that goes into making a Kickstarter. There's a lot of research that you need to do ahead of time, and ideally, you want to have the product finished, so that the Kickstarter or backer kit is just for the production side of things, and you know what you need to get. But again, that requires that you go into a lot of research for this.
That's pretty
What-
typical for anything, isn't it?
Oh, it absolutely is. From
In
my
fact-
experience, I just don't think people do this.
No, but then that's exactly why. I mean, that's just, if you like, to me that makes sense, because it's a almost natural forming barrier of entry. Like if you're going to, the thing is that in order to be successful, you have to make a good product, you have to market it well, you have to manage it well, you have to da 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 da. There's all of these things that goes into being successful. If it was that easy, everybody and their dog would do it.
Yep.
And it means you got to do those things. If you don't, you're not going to be successful. I don't think people should stop trying. Absolutely, I think they should try. But then I think that we shouldn't be shocked and surprised when it doesn't go well a lot of the times, because turns out it's really hard.
Yeah. Let's take an example where things went really well. Shadow Dark took 10 years of testing, or 10 years of marketing, 10 years of networking. And it was released out during a time where, and this is absolute pure luck, it was released out during a time where Wizards of the Coast was doing things that was putting them in such hot waters that people just did not want to buy their products. They were actively looking for alternatives. And Shadow Dark then came out with mechanics that people looked at and went, we've spent, decades, and now we've got homebrew rules that you need to put a timer on your phone for 30 minutes, and once that it rings, your torch has gone out. You have limited slots for how much you can carry based on your strength roll, and all these other things. Like, these sounds like really simple homebrews, but put all of these together, now you've got a custom system that's been built to integrate with one another, that is designed to have a specific outcome, a specific gaming style. And it's been
people
very
love it.
successful.
Yeah.
People love it. People are all over it. People are saying that this is a fresh breath of air. And there are certain aspects to Shadow Dark that I look at and go, I'm interested, but not enough for me to buy into the product just yet. Like,
And is it the success of the system, or is it the success of all of the folks involved, that they were able to take something that was quintessentially a hodgepodge of pre-existing features and repackage it, and made that repackage that successful? Like, I almost want to applaud the people involved, because if all of the mechanics are done elsewhere, but they were able to make Shadow Dark what it is, well, then they succeeded, right?
Basically, just Kelsey.
Yeah. So Kelsey has been working on this for 10 years. it's been her thing that she's been working on and off on. She's got like blogs and other things. But it's like, no, she was testing this. She had different groups that was testing different aspects. It was also 10 years for her being in the role-playing industry, basically marketing and like getting around to like when she launched the entire thing out, she gave copies to so many people to talk, to review, to play, to get the word out there. And that allowed her to get a leg up because she had done so much pre-work that allowed her to get like almost like a running start. And then she was further boosted by the fact that there were other events that she couldn't control that was just helping her. So even if you take away the events of like Wizard of the Coast, she would still have had an amazing advantage because she put that amount of work into it. And the outcome is that, I mean, like, there's a YouTube called Black Lodge Game that I sometimes go in and watch. They love the product because it does something that you don't really see. It takes into account, like, hey, you're an adventurer, but you gotta bear in mind you're gonna see some shit in that dungeon. You're gonna experience horrific things, and you know what that's gonna leave you? It's gonna leave you psychologically scarred. You're gonna have problems, and how are you gonna get rid of that? You're gonna have to take out your stress by either go and drink and become an alcoholic, or you're gonna go and do things that are absolutely terrible. So there
The
are
darkest
these
dungeon.
Yes, that's literally where I'm taking it, Seraphis. I have a potential game where I can just make my players play Darkest Dungeon, and it's delicious. Because fuck you, fuck your happiness. You don't deserve any of this. You don't get to see in the dark. You're a dwarf. Fuck you. You can't see. You can't see shit. It's like, but I'm an elf. Am I meant to be hearing things? No, you can't. Why? Because that guy over there's got a flintlock. You're fucking deaf.
I just the more I hear about it and the more I think about it, the more I walk back my initial frustration. And I think that
Right.
in hindsight, maybe there's nothing wrong with at least trying, and there's nothing wrong with rewards going to those who worked to earn it.
May I say something in your defense?
Hmm?
So, if, as you said, you were getting a lot of messages about this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, there does come a point where the interest or the enthusiasm for other people building upon something wanes away and it becomes a nuisance because you're constantly sitting there and going like, that's nice that you're doing it. Why am I the outlet for you to discuss this?
Ah. Okay.
That's just my level of thinking because there's going to come a point where I realize I am talking or listening to the same things and it becomes tiresome. And I also remember that there was an interview where Tim Kask, one of the creators of, not creators, but like one of the founding members of TSR, D&D, basically said, I am bored to tears of hearing of other people's games because they're not my games, it's not my style. But it means a lot to people, so I will sit, I will nod, and I will ask them if they had fun. And if they have fun, I will tell them that's amazing, and I hope that they continue to have fun that way. But it's not fun for me because I hear these things over and over and over again. And that's perfectly understandable.
That makes sense. I hadn't thought about it that way. There's a fair amount of this I hadn't thought of, so I appreciate talking to you guys. It's definitely
Yeah,
interesting.
we've all got different perspectives. It's great to be able to share them. It's like for you, Seraphis, you say nothing of value.
I didn't try to. Penis. All right. We'll hit Tori's last topic, and if we've got some time, I'll talk some gunslinger afterwards. Okay, topic the last. Why the uptick in people claiming to be working on their own custom systems? Have you seen it?
Oh. Whoops. Did I get ahead there?
Yeah,
I mean, one kind of led into the other.
it did. It really did. And I really should have just switched over once the conversation basically went into that. But is there
You know,
anything
it's funnier
else?
this way.
It is. Is there anything else you want to add to it?
I like to cherry pick. I like finding I like even though like take the D&D system, the D20 system, and what have you. I like going through and finding out like what it was they were doing differently, because everyone's got different flavors. So find the ones that like works for me here, bring it over to this here, and then like bring that together. That allows me to create my own like custom system in that way. But I don't really intend of like taking it beyond that. It doesn't always mean that everything's compatible. Won't
It's like
stop
how
me
I
from
build my
trying.
Minecraft mod packs.
I will say one of the best things I ever did was convert like when I started GMing, which was during 5e, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't actually been a GM that long. Playing, on the other hand, long time. Well, 90s anyway. Yeah. But like one thing I found was once I got hold of the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, I found that I wanted to immediately convert over the monetary rewards to Call of Cthulhu's money
The ratings.
system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the rating.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I found that way more
It's easier to handle.
yeah. Like it's easier for like, you know, the party to be like, okay, we're gonna gather this stuff up in our bag of holding, you know, blue you know, hoard bag, take it back to town, and then, you know, you're like, okay, this is gonna be a nightmare to figure out. So, you know, once you get back to your keep, your custodian is going to, you know, take the bag, empty it out, and figure out, you know, what your essentially richment level is now, and see whether you've gone up, how much your daily expenses, you know, how much your personal daily wage is, so that you can go buy things, go do things on a daily basis, kind of thing. And I found that was so much better to work with because, yeah,
It's easy. It's less bean counting, which that I'm not. I like that that to certain aspects, but there's also times where it's like it's just not necessary. It's also something I found in other systems where it's like, okay, like the Rogue Trader game I'm doing on Saturdays, we use basically what's called for profit factors. You can spend your profit factor, you can burn your own wealth to acquire something, but it's basically a set percentage, and then you have to go and do work to increase it, or it will decrease and so forth, and then that makes the it means it's easier for the group to like go and just be like, okay, we're so rich, we can go and do these things. So like it's you know, what we want to acquire is such a rare and valuable thing, we're gonna be at a penalty to acquire it, and that's easier to handle. It might be more difficult to put in because a lot of fantasy games do not account for abstract wealth.
yes.
They often seem to be very like, oh no, like you need to know every copper piece that's in there. And coins didn't really have the if we take D&D, coins of bronze, silver, and gold, you didn't really see that much gold. It was primarily silver that was being traded. And even then, like, you would find a lot more of people. A lot of the coins would be handed out between nobles and merchants. The average peasant would be bartering of like, I've got half a dozen eggs here. I'd like to have those cabbages. Because that's how society ran back then. Like, coin systems were not a thing until we really got further in.
So if you found that, you said it was in the 7th Call of Cthulhu book that you found that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, but for the combat, the characters, the gold, the the health, the this, the that insert everything that prompted me to change systems. I saw a subset of the system and I went, ooh, I like that. That's pretty cool. And then I saw a subset of that same system and I went, ooh, I like that better too. And then I saw another subset and I went, well, heck, at this point I might as well just play that system because I just like those subsets. And regardless of where they came from, I like those subsets packaged together in that particular way, the way they are in that particular system.
Yeah.
Because if I went to the systems where those subsets came from, well, then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes along with that package that I don't want. I just want that one particular thing over here, and I want that one particular thing over there, and I want that one particular thing over there. And I just found a system that took exactly those cherry picks I like and mashed them together into one thing already for me. So
is that DC 20 or is that Daggerheart?
Daggerheart. Because you made the comment that, well, everything Daggerheart does is done in another system, but better. And it's like, well, maybe, but it's still different. And it's still not that exact package. It's a package with a whole bunch of other stuff. And then those couple of things that I happen to like.
To be fair, I was talking more like in specific terms, like, you know, your card systems or your classes, your combat, you know, if you look at each one of those different things, you'll find essentially where Daggerheart was inspired by, and that system will do that better. I can understand, you know, looking at Daggerheart with all of those things combined and being like, hey, I'd rather be playing this because this puts all of those things into a nice simple package. As I said, I got nothing against that. I have personal issues with Critical Role, but that's on me. So
yeah, just liking the package that it comes in, and I mean it's not. I guess I personally don't understand why it matters that it came from another system. Like, who cares? And define better, because better might be better for you and your table. That doesn't mean it's better for me and mine. So the word better is kind of subjective. They borrowed a mechanic from another system. It's debatable which system actually did that specific mechanic, quote, better.
cultural
unquote.
phrasing, Tori. Cultural phrasing.
Okay, so what's your...
You're being too specific on my use of the word better.
Oh, that was just my read of that word.
Yes. It'd be like if I said mate, like I'm not, or Sheila, or, you know, if I said she'll be right, I'm not actually saying like Sax is now a female. Like, it's just in my lexicon, she'll be right is referred to as that person will be okay. When I said better, I'm not saying this is superior. I'm saying like you can see where that system came from and where it works more to its full strengths there.
Which is the definition of the word better, which is what I was saying. I don't see how they're different. You said to its fullest strength. You're saying that subset wasn't, you didn't use the word better as in superior, but then you said use it.
No, I get it. I'm not explaining myself too well.
I guess I'm not understanding, but I am going off of very literal definitions. But part of the reason I do that is because it's the only means by which I have to try and communicate better with people. It's like, okay, my family, like, I'm not understanding what you're saying, and you're not understanding what I'm saying. So let me go to the dictionary because this is the commonplace. It's kind of like what Saxius was saying earlier about mechanics. Actually, it's the common ground area. I have to do that with my family all the time. But anyways, I don't know. I definitely am enthusiastic about the system. I like it, but I think that's mostly just because it works for the group that I'm in. Like, I think that it clicked with them
and that's
a little
great.
bit better. Yeah, kind of like Cipher System clicks with you better.
Or Fantasy Age.
Or insert, whatever works for us better.
Yeah. And Sax, whatever allows him to torment his players better.
God, no.
His
If they allow-
spreadsheets.
I need to optimize their suffering. That's why they show up. That's why they're here.
In full spreadsheet form, as
Exactly.
Saxius does.
Exactly. I am just a dark elf who optimizes on my suffering of those who show up.
Now, when you say Dark Elf, do you mean
Drukhari.
a drought? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right, it is 8:48, so I'm gonna bounce because breakfast.
No worries.
All right. Take care.
Wonderful, but thank you guys. It was an interesting conversation. So I'll see you guys
Absolutely.
later.
Absolutely.
No worries.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Yeah, guess we can switch over to that one now.
Yes.
I guess. How much time you got?
Well, I was actually going to be looking at ending it up here in 10 minutes' time.
Ah, well, 10 minutes is fine. Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
switch it to that one then. First.
Nice. Well, no, like outside of that, there's been some good topics. I think a lot of it is just basically down to do you know what you want out of your game? Play into your strengths, and take it from there, and contribute. Just contribute to the game. I think that's what we all just agreed on.
And definitely, right before this stream started, definitely was emphasized by your story.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. I'm gonna do another write up to the 2 players who didn't show up, just so that they're caught up. I've already gotten one of the players did a rough breakdown, and he's not wrong. The breakdown was just oh yeah, once we narrowed it down to 100, we just gave him the Emperor's Mercy. I'm like, okay, true. You sent down 40 soldiers, 11 came back infected. The doctor rolled a 99, and he needed to roll a 90, but so he missed his thing. This thing happened, that thing happened. We weren't really sure what to do with this planet, so there's just again, you're familiar with 40k. So the players keep on going okay, we'll just push out a beacon over the system, and I have to sit there and go, do I need to remind you guys what a beacon actually is in 40k? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? It's just a servitor strapped to a life support system going beep, go away. This planet belongs to this family. It's so much more fun when you put context into what the players are doing, and they sit there and go, "We're not really sure how to really deal with this. We're still going ahead."
Can I ask what size ship they've got?
A frigate.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
It's
Just
not even
out-
that. Yes.
Just out of curiosity.
So, you go on.
Just out of curiosity, do they have a comprehension of just how many people are living their entire lives in the bows of that ship without ever knowing anything else?
32,000.
Fuck.
32,000, and so far the security group has had to learn really goddamn quick that when the arch-militant says, "Hey, we're going down to the planet," he doesn't care that they're uncomfortable about not being on the ship. They're going on the planet. The big dome of blue skies are going to be above them, and most of them are bringing rebreathers or gas masks with them because the air is so disturbingly weird outside of the ship that they don't like it. Most of the other crew members are just yeah, no, we're not stepping off the ship. This is where we live. This is where we die.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a 40K short movie on Facebook, and it's basically like this battle with I think an Imperial ship with a Eldar ship,
Yeah.
and most of the action is taking place within the bows of the ship, and just the dregs of them, just their lives don't matter to the command crew.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of it where like they load in like a humongous shell and they hit like the elf or the Drukari ship like right on. Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember I don't have the book anymore, but there was a book that I read some time ago where for like a half a chapter you actually like switched from like the planetary or like the space invasion down into the bowl where you're following the overseer who literally comments that he's still threatening to shoot people, but he's run out of bullets to motivate people, and now he's threatening to do it, pistol whipping people and whipping them to get them to load the guns quicker. And because he's able to do it like 10 minutes quicker than how long it's supposed to do, the commander was like, he almost asked for the officer's name, but decided that he would deal with that after they had won the battle. And then once the battle was over, he learned that that overseer was killed by his own crew for being too mean to them, or basically being too harsh to meet the quota. It's such a brutal world, but like you have to take the world and just laugh at how dark it is. Like the things that are in there. Like again, do you own the Rogue Trader video game?
No, not yet.
Okay. Certainly recommend. I'd certainly recommend to go to any of like either Kinguin or any of the others, because those guys really went into details about it. So I would recommend. But yeah, you do have to like deal with the bowels of the ship. You do have to deal with that, and there is a character in that video game who is the seneschal effectively, but he will actually tell the character off for doing humanitarian things.
As he
It's like
should.
Yeah, yes, he absolutely should. But it's just again, it makes it funny because this group, as I said, 2 players, they want to do the humanitarian thing. They want the ship to be a better place to live on, and it's going to make them stand out when compared to all the others. But they also need other NPCs to come over and fill out the other ranks. And I've rolled out that they're going to have some job applicants that's going to come through in a bit. One of them is going to be really good at what he does, but he has zero regard for the people of the serf class. The other one cares about the serf class, but it's more of a case of like, he's not doing it because of the money. He's doing it because he wants to give a gigantic middle finger to his family by going. Because we're not playing Rogue Trader set in the 41st millennium. We're playing in the 42nd millennium. Gilliman is awake. He's taken over the Imperium. The Imperium's been split. All of that's happened. And what I'm leading into is that because the Imperium is split, it needs resources. So I've made a sector which is resource rich, but it's been in a warp storm for 200 years. So society and everything has collapsed down. There's orc freebooters, there are aliens, there's Rakghouls, there's Chaos Renegades, and it's right next to the Badab sector. Depending on how much you know about the history, the Badab sector is a terrible place to be nearby. So there's that. The players have come in, and they learned after a couple of sessions, like, oh, this isn't just bad, Oscar. This is like straight up apocalyptically bad, and we're here with a warrant from Mr. Roberti Gurleyman that we are that we have just been told that we can go to this place and claim things. It's like, yes, that's correct. And Oscar, according to this thing, and looking at some of the other rogue traders who got their warrant from the God Emperor themselves, we are just the equivalent of billionaire crypto kids next to Rothschild children. It's like, yes, that's correct. So we are socially at disadvantage when we meet other rogue traders. Like, yes, you are. So they just went, fuck it, we're just going to go all in. We're going to be the rich, weird kids who earn money in ways that they didn't understand. That shouldn't be possible. That's not centralized.
The only thing kind of bouncing off of that whole setup of the 42nd, the only thing I really wish would happen is I really want the Wolf King to come back.
Oh, yeah, Fenris. The Primarch.
Yeah, no. His name isn't Fenris. They named all the tanks after him.
Oh, Lehman Russ.
Lehman Russ. I really want him to come back.
Yeah.
He would
That would be nice.
He would be
I do.
hilarious.
It would be great if they brought him back. It would be great if they brought a lot of the other Primarchs back, because they are now. We've got, Robert Gilliman, or Gilliman, whatever, and you've got Lionel Johnson, who's returned back.
I thought Vulcan was back as well, or did he not come back?
Vulcan's not officially back.
Ah.
He's rumored to be alive, but it's one of those things of is not really confirmed. We've got the model for Lionel Johnson and Robert Gilliman. Those are the two major ones that are back.
Okay.
There is a potential discussion that they're going to expand upon the Chaos Gods, and Votash, I think his name is a rising demon prince who is taking on the aspects of machinery, so Dark Mechanicus stuff, but actually embodying demonic entities and the rise of evil technology for that. So that's coming.
I hadn't heard about that one yet.
I might be getting the name wrong, but Votash or Voshoth, something like that. But he's meant to be on the rise as potentially becoming the 5th Chaos God in Warhammer 40,000. Mind you, they killed off Slaanesh in fantasy, so it's okay.
But last time, a Chaos God was created in the 40k universe, it kind of fucked an entire race. So let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Is that a bad thing when it's the Eldari?
Those Eldari? No. I mean, we can basically look at those Eldari as basically being, the Drukhari. So,
well, the Drukhari are the ones who stay true to their original nature, and then you've got the Eldari, who were just the weird religious pilgrims who went, "Fuck all you, we're gonna go into space."
I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm winning on a technicality, and I know it.
But you did forget the book nerds.
Oh yeah, those. Black Library. Oh, that's such a badly written thing. There's a thing called the Black Library, which also happens to be where we publish all our games. Aha, isn't this funny? No, it's not.
Yeah, I still don't understand why Harlequins would also control the Black Library. Where's the joke in it?
Fuck me, I don't know.
Or is that the joke that, the Jokers are in charge of the library?
I would think that would be such a terrible joke for them to set up. It's probably something else. Either way, we've got that. But yeah, so that's what the players are currently sort of dealing with. It's the 42nd millennia. I've specifically put it 200 years into the 42nd millennia just to give myself that wiggle room of it is whatever the fuck I want. Fuck you. And there's that's been set up. But again, the players, the driving players want to be humanitarian. They want to do these things and so on, which is going to be interesting because in-game, in 1 month's time, I'm going to be introducing the first proper rogue trader that's going to be arriving. And he's going to be coming. His name is not Harlock.
Damn it.
His full name is Simon Xavier Johansson III. And he will he will only accept his full name when you address him. You always have to say Rogue Trader Simon Xavier Johansson III. But he's going to give the players an opportunity of where he basically goes, right, this sector, we're going to cut it down the middle this way. You take this side, I take this side. We will have these agreements of like, if one side needs help from the other, here's how much you can charge. And then that way we cooperate and we do that. Like how the Spanish and the Portuguese basically took the world and said, "Junk, you have this side, we have that side." That's what he's going to offer them. If they take it, great. If they say no, then he's going to go, "That's fine. It's all for everyone for themselves." And he's just going to go in and be like, "Mine, mine, mine, mine." And he is also what's referred to as a xenophile, so he's perfectly okay with having aliens working with him, whereas the players
Working
not
with
like
him, working with him, or working for him.
What's the difference in your world? Because to him, he just happens to align it in that like he gets what he wants. The aliens support him, and then he sort of continues on.
Yeah, but does he consider them equal partners in what he's doing, or are they serving his cause?
Well, they're serving his cause in that
Well, then
sense.
they're working
For him.
for him.
Yeah. Originally, I made him to have a Drukhari arch militant, but I've taken that out because I'm like, that's not going to go down well. So I'm replacing with a Kroot. Fun.
Is this going to be a case of where there's one Kroot, there's more Kroot?
Of course, he's got a cadre of Kroots.
Yeah.
So he's got that. There was a moment where I was like, "Oh, am I going to give him a mech boy who's actually his engineer?" I'm like, "No, that's just silly. That is just silly." But I will at one point have the players encounter orcs, because the players, the arch militants, that player does not know 40k. All he basically went like, "I want to play a soldier who's like from a horrible like death jungle world." I'm like, "You're playing Katachan. What's that?" Katachan is just like, "You're playing Rambo." I'm like, "Cool, I want to play that." I'm like, that's cool. All right, and I want my entire body to be tattooed green. And I sat there and went, "You want your entire body to be tattooed green?" I was like, "Yes, for camouflage." I'm like, "You don't know what you're starting. The orcs will confuse you for being another orc." And there's going to be a whole thing of like the orcs will be like, "Captain, there's an orc amongst them. There's one of them boys. Which clan he's from? Oh no, he's not got any of the colors. He ain't got red. Wait, no, he's got red. He's a speedster. Yeah." And it's gonna be a moment like the orcs are like, we are only talking to the orc now. Like, "Yeah, but I'm the captain. I've got the warrant. You've got a piece of toilet paper. Let's talk to the big boss." And the character's like 5'2", or like 5'4". Like, he's short, but he's, again, he's got like 52 of like, he's up in the 50s for his strength, so he's really strong. Like, enough to be like above average orc strength. So they're gonna be like, "Yeah, no, clearly, you be the captain. You be the captain. That be a big man." Like, it would just point to him and was like, "No, big man. What does he say?"
You know what would have been good? If you did
What?
keep the, for Xavier the Third's ship, if you did keep the mech boy as the chief engineer, and then like you've got this perfectly pristine Imperial ship from the ages, and then just giant red engines on the back. Because it goes faster.
The players that have the option of going and contributing or participating in a gigantic four-way battle, where you have orc freebooters, ragdoll, if you know what they are.
I assume they're rattling.
No, ragdolls. So imagine RAK hyphen or thing apostrophe GOL. Imagine a centaur, but the lower part is a lizard. The upper part is also a lizard. They've got 4 arms at the top, 4 legs. They can move their arms and legs up and down their body however they want. And they have this thing of like, when they come to fight you, they will often chop their own arms off and replace them with chainswords. So they will run towards you, 4 arms replaced out with weapons that they will then go at you. They don't want to be taken prisoner, so they always wear suicide vests.
Oh,
And
jeez.
and when they show up, they're like you will see them a mile away because their ships exude so much radiation, but they'll come closer and closer, and then out of nowhere they will just launch so many torpedoes at you. And you're like, oh, torpedoes, it's all right, we'll just get out of the way. But they're targeted torpedoes, and they don't explode. They are filled with their soldiers, so the moment they hit you, you've got these centaur-sized lizard creatures running up and down your hallways, murdering. Like, the players encountered them once. They lost 2% of their ship's population to these things. We are talking about Warhammer 40,000 Mage and the things I've thrown at my players.
Yes.
So one encounter with these guys, they lost 2% of a ship that has 32,000 people.
God.
It was like, I'll do my math really quick one more time. It was just insane. It might have been 5% or something like that. Yeah, it was actually no, it was not 5. That might have been 10. Yeah, it was 10% of their population they lost. So it's like 3,200 people that died. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited about aliens that's going to kill my players. And because of the way that the mechanics work, Seraphis, you have to be, in order to repel invaders from your ship, you have to have a strong fellowship, which no one has. So the players were sitting there going like, okay, we are not leading by charisma, we're leading by doing. Can the Catachan just run in there and just kill a lot and inspire people by being effectively a Cornic berserker? I'm like, I'm not going to disagree with that. It's just failure will have different consequences now. And then I have the tech preacher goes like, wait, can I use my logic to like use our people and like throw that at them and just be really cold and calculating? But I'm like, of course you can. And I everything that we do for these things, I just go like, okay, being cold and calculating means that you're just going to throw people in there. So I'm going to give bonus points to the enemy when they do damage. Using your combats rather than your command skill means that you always have to be in the forefront, meaning failure now means you're taking direct damage to your character. And the players like anything to not be social. We don't want to roll fellowship. But wait, Seraphis, I need you to go on.
I feel like your people are almost at the Zap Brannigan level of command ship. It's just sending waves and waves of their own people until the enemy's death quota has been filled.
Well, funnily enough, I actually did, when they had the chance to like do bar purchases and so on, I noticed that no one was buying weapons for their crew. So they only had like a few 6-rounder Magnum guns. So I was like, one of the people like, okay, do you mind if I go and buy weapons for our guys? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, here's a blank check. Just go and buy weapons. And I'm like, okay, sure. Went and bought shotguns, last guns, like just generally proper things for the ship to actually have it. Anyway, there is one thing I need to tell you that is hilarious. The players, after meeting the rat goal, ran back, told the Inquisition, the same Inquisitor, and basically went like, hey, we didn't just find them, we found a nest, which is pretty bad. So the Inquisitor went, okay, cool. I'm going to go over to the nearby Navy, flash my rosette, and I'm going to claim the ships. We're going to come with you, and we're just going to deal with them. So they outnumbered the enemy like 2-1. Doable terms for the Imperium. They won the Void Battle. They went and did a bunch of investigation for the planets. The Inquisition was like, we're just going to bomb these things. We're going to deal with that. Like, you guys go and do what you want to do. And they find that there's an area with a lot of debris. They're like, hey, debris. They're primarily human ships. Let's go and find out what we can take and salvage. So they go over there. They basically tell the Inquisitor, hey, we're going to waive our salvaging rights. We're going to claim these ships and we're going to take what we want. And he's like, that's fine. That's cool. Listen, I'm going to do my thing. And we're going to set up an ambush because this is a nest. They're probably going to come back and I want to ambush them. The players go over. They scan the ships and they go, oh, the name of the ship is popping up along with a red alert. Arch enemy ship. And they've just claimed salvaging rights on it. In front of the Inquisitor. Do you think it stops them? No. They still go ahead. They're basically like, well, we're not going to send people on there. Round up the servitors, establish a Wi-Fi link, and just have them broadcast from their eyes what they see.
I feel like your players needed to maybe do just a little bit of research into like what Warhammer 40k is about.
No, they know. They know. They're fully aware.
Then
We did end up.
why?
No, listen. Don't ask questions. Just enjoy the pain. Like you can see that the rope's being tightened around them. It's fine. Enjoy the ride, Seraphis.
It's fine. It's fine. Shh. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Exactly. But there was actually an entire discussion because they came across a really big ship, a absolutely humongous one, and they're like, "How much would it cost us to repair that ship?" And I'm like, "It's gonna bankrupt you to do it, but if you want to, that can be a long-term project." And they're like, "We are actually considering it." Cool. I will leave them to decide whether or not they want to do it. But if they want to take back a potential arch enemy ship and scrub out the serial number and potentially scrub out all of the bad things that's been on that ship, refurnish it and repurpose it, they can. But the Inquisitor... Yes?
You're making me very suspicious. It's a very big ship.
It's a very big
It's
ship.
an arch enemy ship.
It's an arch enemy ship. I have been asked a question if the what's it called? Walkways, if they're made to accommodate for Ulkran-sized people, and I said no. It's not that kind of big ship. You were thinking Chaos Space Marines, and so was my players. It's not. It's just the equivalent of an air carrier, an aircraft carrier that they're interested in.
Well, almost like a battle barge.
So there is a... Let me get out the exact book here. Actually, no, I'm actually in the thing. I might actually have it. It's not a battle barge.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but there were versions that the Imperium made of their own that were basically giant carriers, though. I remember that much.
Yeah, so there's the Dictator class. The Dictator class is basically a battleship for aircraft carriers. Let me see, whalecraft. Where's it? Lion's tail, whale tail, outer reaches. Here we go. It was the Chaos Reaver Devastation class cruiser. I'm just going to find it here. And I'll send it to you.
Pretty sure this is the same one I've got up.
Probably.
Yep. Yeah, Devastation class cruiser.
Yep.
Yeah. Screen. Hoi hoi.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that had a lot of ships and things on board that they were like, we could potentially take this. We could
Yeah.
potentially refurbish it. We could potentially make it our own, basically, carrier. Which
I
is,
mean, yeah.
there is some power in that. Do not get me wrong. It's just about getting rid of some of the stains that's been left behind. Taking down some
Stains.
wallpaper.
Change the desktop. Yes.
Yeah. There's that. So that's a potential project. They haven't done anything yet, but it's been discussed. And they still have like the salvaging rights, and the Inquisitor, the next time they see them, is going to be like, so, salvaging rights. You guys are definitely wanting to do some research on this because I have questions now. Like, why are we salvaging these things?
I mean,
Again, if they at the
technically-
moment they haven't done anything. Sorry, go on. You first. You first.
No, it's all right. Go.
So basically, they haven't. They've taken some of the cargo, which is not tainted, that the engine just gone over. It's like, this is fine. This is just cargo. Like, they haven't done anything with that, so we've taken that out. But they haven't taken entire ships. They haven't done anything like that. And the absolute worst that they did was that they came across something that had questionable energy readings that the Psycho and the warp, the Navigator both basically looked at with Psyniscience and went, "That's warp energy in a hangar bay. We are just going to send a volley of shots into that, and hopefully that deals with it."
Jesus.
I mean, it was a demonically possessed, what's it called? Like, not ship, but like combat ship, void ship that they could pretend that was basically sitting there going like, "I'm gonna ambush you. I'm gonna ambush you." And then the players actually used their abilities and went, "Oh no, look at that. That's weird. Shoot it."
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Well, on that note, before it gets to 1 a.m., because I've got to be up in a few hours, I'm going to thank you, Sex, for being on with us tonight, this
Okay.
morning, whatever your time zone is.
Yeah, it's all good. Thank you for having me.
And we had Game Masters and Tori on before, so everyone remember you already subscribed to them, so stay subscribed to them. And yeah, we will see you next time. I'm definitely making the next stream about Gunslinger Knights, so I can talk about
Nice.
that. So yes, it's knights in cowboy outfits with 6-shooters or shotties and riding motorcycles, fighting demons.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.